Are you pulling out your hair as an interior designer? Are you getting gray hairs like I have right here? Because we're all things to all people. We're doing the site visits. We're holding the hands. We're psychologists, psychotherapists. We're losing sleep at night with all of the working parts, moving parts that goes into creating the beautiful spaces for our clients. Well, today's guest, Melanie Zaelich, has another idea about a very successful interior design business model that you're going to want to listen to. Stay tuned. Hey kids, and welcome to Designed by Wingnut Social. I am your host, Darla Powell, and today we're going to blow your mind with an alternative interior design business model with guest Melanie Zaelich of Happy Place Interiors. But before I get into my interview with the lovely and talented Melanie Zaelich, I want to remind you that Wingnut Social is a digital marketing agency for interior designers, home pros, to the trade vendors, interior design business coaches, architects, and the ilk, the milieu, that whole genre, that whole realm, if you will. And you can find out more information on that at wingnutsocial.com. Our wait list, I guess I should say, for search engine optimization is wide open now. So head on over and see how we can help your website get found by ideal clients in your area, right? When they're Googling interior design in Jolly Fats Weehawken, are you showing up, Susan McNuggets? Well, we're going to make sure that you do. Head on over to wingnutsocial.com. This episode is sponsored, as are all, by Wingnut Social. All right, guys, that's enough of that silliness. Melanie Zaelich is an award-winning interior designer and the only consult-based a la carte business model in Minneapolis, say that 10 times, Minnesota, known for her down-to-earth approach, creativity, and ability to make design fun and accessible. Melanie has enriched over 2,000 homes since founding Happy Place Interiors in 2016. Her accolades include regional and national design awards such as the Top 10 Redesigner of the Year and Minnesota's Best Interior Design Firm. And Wingnuts, I think you're going to see why. Help me in welcoming Melanie Zaelich to the show. Hey there, Melanie Zaelich. Welcome to the show. How the hell are you?
I am fantastic. How the hell are you?
I'm
I love it.
I'm doing really, really well, except, I'm getting used to my allergies here in winter, Maryland. It's been 10 degrees here, but today it's going to be a balmy 50.
Wow.
So hopefully, yeah, I know, right? I've got my bikini on. Yeah, right now, as we're doing this interview, you guys head on over to Designed by Wingnut Social on YouTube, and you can check that out. Just kidding. Nobody wants to see that, but still, head on over there. Designed by Wingnut Social on YouTube. Melanie, I love your business model.
Thank you.
Right. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I know that as we're getting into our conversation, that there's going to be interior designers out there listening and are like, why the hell am I not just doing this? I would save tons of gray hair, lots of money on hair dye, maybe even some of those bald patches would grow back from pulling out my hair. Right. So before we dig in, just tell us a little bit about who you are and who you help, and we'll dig in.
Yep. Okay. So just a brief background is interior design is my second career.
Nice.
My first career was about 20 years in advertising, branding, and graphic design. So I worked at several top Minneapolis advertising firms. And about 10 years ago, after being a guest on HGTV as the homeowner, not as a designer, I started thinking, I'm like, oh, well, I could do this. And the reason I say that is in my advertising days, I used to shoot TV commercials. So I was always setting up the sets, and designing them. And I always found myself on the projects that had anything to do with homes, or spray paint or DIY or anything on the creative end. And the company I was working for was going through a lot of changes. And it was just kind of a good time for me to think, if I'm going to change agencies, why don't I just try something that I've always wanted to do, which is interior design. So I just took the leap of faith and I left my job, and I did take different interior design courses to learn what did I not learn in my first art school that I would need to know for interior design. So I supplemented education that way. And when I started my interior design company, Happy Place Interiors, in 2016, I did everything. I didn't say no to any job. I would do anything.
Same girl.
Yep.
Yeah.
So at the time, I was doing home staging, both consultations and vacant stagings, full service design, and interior design consultations. And within a couple months of leaving my big corporate job, starting Happy Place Interiors, I was really busy. Now, I attribute that to 20 years of branding, advertising, design, that I know a lot of interior designers don't have that background when they start, but I think a lot of that really helped launch my business, right? And as I grew and got busier and busier, I had to start making tough choices. I loved everything that I did. I love all of it. I love helping people love their homes. I love staging because you don't have the homeowners telling you what to do. I mean, there's benefits to everything. But it was too much. So I had to just start thinking, what do I want to focus on? So probably within 2.5 years, I stopped the vacant staging, and I stopped staging consultations about a year after that. And I solely focused on full service design and design consultations. And then the pandemic hit. And oh my gosh, I mean, I think everybody kind of, there's a lot around that, but it got really, really, really busy. And at that point, I had several full service design projects going on, and I was booked out 3 months for consultations, and I had over 100 people on a wait list to see me.
Holy cow. Wow, that is huge. We have a wait list, but I'm telling you right now, it's not 100 people.
So stressful. I mean, I'm like, I can't complain, you can't complain because you're busy and the world's going in this pandemic. But at the same time, it was way too much. So again, I had to make some decisions. Do I keep full service, or do I stick with consultations? Because those are the two things I had left, right? Everything else I had let go. And although I love full service in the sense of being able to really design from the ground up and planning every single thing and choosing every single thing and seeing it come to life, what I didn't like outweighed what I liked. I didn't like the stress. I didn't like the nightmares at 3:00 in the morning. Did I call the so-and-so? Is this so-and-so? Is this going to arrive on time? Everything, all the stress that's involved. I didn't like that as much as,
me either.
So I decided to drop it and go 100% on consultations. And consultations had always been there. And this was, I think, about 2.5, 3 years ago is when I cut out full service design. So it's been about 2.5 years, and it's amazing. I finally have a great work-life balance. I'm happier. I finally get to spend the time with my daughter, which was probably my first intention. And I'm still
probably.
Yeah. Well, okay.
We're not sure. Sorry, daughter.
She won't listen to this podcast. She's not interested in Mama's podcast. But yes, that was one reason I wanted to leave my corporate job, is I wanted the flexibility to be there with her, because she was 2 at the time, and now she's 11. And now I actually have the time to be with her, which is great because
I love it. So there's, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, because I get to set my own schedule and I don't have the stress.
Isn't that nice?
And I can go on vacation when I want.
I love that. I love it. And okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. So first of all, I want to ask you, what HGTV show was it? Can you say? You can say.
Oh yeah. It was called Freestyle.
Okay, I think I remember that.
Yeah, it was kind of like one of those design on a dime type, where they come in and do the whole thing. And the designer did an amazing job. And I just like, when she was done, I was like, oh, I could totally do this. Not for myself, but for somebody else. Like, it's hard to work on your own. I don't know if other people,
Yeah.
I have a hard time working on my own stuff, but.
Okay. And another thing I wanted to ask you before we get into the nitty gritty of this is that when you had you're doing the design, you're doing the logistics of doing the full service design, and you're doing the consultation, and you had 100-person wait list. I mean, most business coaches or CFOs will say, okay, Melanie, it's time to raise your prices. I mean, hell, if you have a wait list of 100 people, did that ever factor in instead of just dropping a couple of the services and just doing consultations?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, it did. And yes, I did raise
Okay.
prices, and I raised them, but I also didn't like, and I know my rates are reasonable. Some people are going to say that they're low, but there's a certain demographic of people that I want to serve. So I'm keeping my prices for that demographic, but I did definitely increase them. It didn't slow things down. I just made more money,
awesome.
Which was great. I mean, and I continue to increase them, and it hasn't slowed me down. So,
and I love that you're owning that niche, right? That demographic, that you have your ideal target client locked in. That's super important. You don't want to be all things to all people. Can I ask you, what does that demographic look like for you in your consultation model currently?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the people that I want to serve are not luxury. I would say that they're middle class people that are, I really think of like my friends and my family, and even my grandma when she was still around, like when she moved into her assisted living. I loved setting up her new place where it looked like, the house that she and my grandpa shared. So my goal is to help, just kind of quote, the average person love their home and have an average person live in a home that feels above average.
Okay. And another thing I wanted that spurred some thoughts. So my previous career, because interior design is probably my 100th career, but my second career, or, and then I got into the marketing thing, was my second career. I don't speak for a living, was when I was a cop, right? I was a cop before I did any of this. I was a detective for a while, and I hated it. I hated being a detective. And I'll tell you, the comparison is because when you're a detective, you're getting your blues, you have to chase them, you have to go, you have to follow up, you're married to it until you resolve that case, right? And it had some reward. I didn't hate it. But when you're on the road or you're doing calls, you've written the report, and then once it's done, it's done. Yeah. You're done. You can go home. You have a work-life balance, right? You're not getting called at 3 a.m. to come out and do this robbery or whatever. And for me, that was a deal breaker. So I got promoted as a sergeant, but went back to the road. I didn't want to have homework. I didn't want to take it home with me, right? And when I was doing interior design, it's kind of a similar thing, right? When you're doing a whole design thing, you're managing contractors, you're with architects, you're going to site visits, you're an actual therapist. For people, and you're dealing with all that. And that was all the rewarding at the end. It was a lot of stress. And I remember talking to, I don't know if you're familiar with Nicole Heimer of Glory and Brand. She does a beautiful websites, and a lot of our clients work with her. But when I first sat with her and she was discussing my value proposition, what was I going to do? I was like, this was back in the day. I said, Nicole, I have no idea. And she goes, well, some people just do consultations and then that's it. And they do really well with the consultation, the design, and handing it off. And I was like, oh no, that doesn't sound like something I want to do. And now here we are.
You should have done it. It's fabulous.
That sounds like something I'd like to do. So, okay, so we're talking consultations, right? How in depth are these? What are the deliverables for these clients?
So I have several different services, right? Several different consultations. So it really depends on which one you select. So I have like a 90 minutes ideas and inspiration, which is pretty high level. I mean, we can get a lot done in 90 minutes, but then I have a 3-hour, and then I have designer for a day, which is up to 5 hours. So depending on what which one the people select. My deliverables are basically you get what you get while you're at the meeting. Now, I do offer like a la carte services, but you don't automatically get like a written report. You can pay, like upgrade, and get one of those, and you can have follow-up services if you choose. But as far as what you get on the day that we meet, you get me and a notepad to take notes, or you can videotape it, or audio record it if you want. But I don't automatically have deliverables because I want to keep it simple.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's even better. This just gets better and better and better.
Yes.
So are you doing your home? Are you meeting with them on Zoom first, or are they just booking and you're going boots on the ground? Are we doing any homework at a time, or are you winging it when you get there?
Nope, no winging it at all. Everything is super like prescriptive. I have completely figured all of that out. So, Julie down over in this city and Tom in that city, they're going to have basically the same experience with me. I mean, different because they're going to want different things. But no, I have a complete system where people book online, they pay in advance.
Sure.
And then they will be required to fill out a design questionnaire. They're required to send me pictures of their home as it is. And I'm like, don't clean it up, just whatever, just send me pictures. and I prefer when they don't clean it up because then I can kind of see how they really live. And then to send me pictures of styles that they like or inspirational pictures. Like, this is the style that I like. I'm very boho, so they send me boho type pictures or whatever. So then I can take a look at what they're looking for in the design questionnaire. I see, okay, well, this is their house and the state of their house, and it gives me a sense of, okay, is this a 1960s Rambler or a 2015, newer build or whatever it is. And okay, this is where they are and this is where they want to be. So by the time I arrive, I've got it kind of all figured out in my head, like what we're going to talk about, the steps that we're going to take, the information that they're going to want to hear and need to hear in some cases.
I love it. So that's good.
Yeah.
So that makes your visit more efficient, right? Yep. Are you recommending you should knock down this wall? Are we getting that deep in the weeds too?
Yep.
Okay.
I do a lot of consultations for people that are embarking on a remodel. And they might be working with a builder that has supplied some drawings. And then, you get a second look at it. You're like, oh, who put this together? Let's rethink this.
You did mention there were some upgrades. What are the upgrades? Are those like they getting design? Are they getting floor plans? Are they getting links to purchase furnishing recommendations? What does that look like?
So I try and keep the a la carte services pretty small. I mean, my goal is to help people and empower people and give them exactly what they need with the least amount of work on my end. And so what it includes is they can buy any amount of design time, like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and so forth, of prepaid design time. So they pay up front, and that is typically the way most people do it is for me to provide feedback. So I'll have told somebody, okay, you want a sofa, it's going to be 90 inches long, it should be no more than 38 inches deep, this type of fabric, this type of color, go find something that's comfortable for you. Here are some stores I recommend. Then they'll email me with like 3 different sofas and they'll want my feedback. So then I just tell them which one will look best or work best for them. So that is the most common. I can do floor plans, but I don't get into Revit or any of those. I use the kind of the free online ones. So they're rudimentary and I say that they're not buildable, but if you want me to do that, I will do that. Occasionally people will be like, oh, I can't find a light fixture for my dining room. And sure, I'll send them links to different, light fixtures that would work in their dining room.
But part of your business model isn't like, this is my online store and this is where you could purchase these things. No,
Nope.
simple. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
All right, you guys know, or at least I hope you know, or if you don't, I'm not doing my job, that we do full service social media management for you guys, interior designers, architects, and to the trade vendors or furnishing manufacturers, etc. But we are excited to announce our very new hybrid plan with Wingnut Social. It's kind of a half done for you, half you do it yourself sweet spot. If you're a beginning designer or a firm who's just really kind of getting started in social media marketing, but don't quite have the marketing budget to delegate it to a marketing firm, because that's a pretty decent size investment, right? This is our hybrid solution, and it's perfect for busy designers who know the power of consistent professional content on Instagram. You've heard guest after guest and client after client say how they're getting leads from Instagram, right? But you have that overwhelm. You have no idea what to post, when to post, what the hashtags and captions should look like for a value proposition, a mix in order to reach your ideal client. Well, ta-da! Introducing the hybrid plan with Wingnut Social. You get a monthly content calendar where we create the content for you and you post at your leisure on your own time with our guidance. We're doing the posts, we're doing feed posts, we're editing reels for you. You get 8 feed posts, 2 reels. We're writing the captions for you. We are researching the hashtags for you that drive engagement with guidance, best practices, and quarterly strategy sessions to make sure that your strategy and everything is in alignment with your business goals. So if you want to find out some more information on our amazing hybrid plan, it's been very popular so far. Head on over to wingnutsocial.com and hit up that Let's Chat button, and let's see how we can work together. Again, that's wingnutsocial.com. Keep it. This is terrific. I love it. And let's talk about volume. So are you, Melanie Zaelich, are going to all of these?
I am. It is just me.
I'm thinking that you must be a whirling dervish. You must be really busy if you're going boots on the ground to all of these. What amount of volume are you looking at to achieve your business goals for this? What does that look like for you?
So my volume has reduced in the sense of I have increased the length of several consultations. Okay. So my longer consultations, I might have 1 per day, right?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
When I first started, I only had 2-hour consultations, and I was doing about 15 of those a week.
Holy.
Which is a lot. It's 3 a day.
That is a lot.
That is a lot.
Wow, girl.
And I stopped that, right? So I shortened the 2-hour to 90 minutes and then increased the price. But then I started increasing. I have the 3-hour and I have the 5-hour. The 5-hour used to be a 6-hour, but I reduced the hours without raising the rates, which kind of gave me a raise, right? Because it's less time for the same amount of money. Sure. But so the volume for me is super comfortable. I only allow consults to be scheduled Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Mondays and Fridays are used for like administrative days, maybe being on a podcast, booking, all the businessy things. But it also is if a client's kid is sick and we have to reschedule or something, then I have that time available. And it's also the time that I'll work on any of the a la carte services that, the feedback and shopping for light fixtures or whatever. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm driving around town. And
not today.
Not today. Well, I do have an appointment later today, but
of course you do. Okay, that's really cool. And I had a thought there. What was my thought? So how many hours a week are you putting in? And then I'm going to ask you about scaling.
Yeah. I probably meet with an average of 8 clients a week.
That is crazy, girl. That is a lot of peopling.
It's a lot of peopling. Yeah. I'm an extrovert.
That's amazing. Okay, so I'm an extroverted introvert. They exist.
Yep.
This is my extrovert moment for the day. Have you thought about scaling? Do you ever see a future for Happy Place Interiors where it's not Melanie Zaelich that's going to the consultations, but it's Susan McNuggets?
I love Susan McNuggets.
I do too. She's the official interior designer of the show.
She is. No, and here's why. When I started my business in 2016, it was back then, I'm like, I do not want employees. I do not want a big operation. I mean, I could have back then when I was so busy staging and full service design, I probably could have had a team of 50 people if I wanted, but I've always just wanted to
Wow.
keep it simple. And
Mhm.
if it's not me going to meet with my clients and it's Susan McNuggets doing it, I'm not doing what I love. Like, I love working with these people, and every time, I mean, 99.9% of my consults go amazing. And, sometimes I get hugs or cookies. I got a fondue pot one time. I mean, and I just wouldn't want to give that up because I love it.
Well, that says it all. That really does say it all. I mean, if you're in the perfect sweet spot, you love what you do, you're making bank doing it, because if you're seeing 8 people, I'm sure that is a living for sure. So a couple of questions for you from the business end. So let's say down the road, Melanie Zaelich wants to, 30 years from now when you're,
Old.
55.
I'm way older than
and you want to retire, are you just going to put it in a little box? Are you looking, what does Happy Place Interiors look like if you want to sell the business? Have you thought about
Oh,
that?
I've thought about that for sure. Well, right now, my 11-year-old daughter wants to take it over as Happy Place Interiors Junior, but I'm assuming she'll change her mind at some point.
Stay in the family. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to just dissolve it. I mean, I would love to sell it, but I don't know anything about selling a business. I don't
Yeah.
have any quote physical possessions like a warehouse of furniture or things like that. What I have is a
Brilliant.
brand and a system and a strategy and
Yeah.
that type of company. So I don't know how to sell that.
Yeah, so it's very Melanie Zaelich heavy, right? So you are the linchpin in that. So if you ever wanted to sell that, just something to consider, like if you maybe did want to have like a Susan McNuggets or something, or scaling that to some point. That's something. I'm not an expert in selling businesses either, but it's just something to think about, and something if you're out there in the audience and you're listening to this as a design model, just something to think about.
For
If you
sure.
ever wanted to, scaling versus just doing it yourself and being happy, which I can see you're happy. Last question before we get into the what up Wingnut round, and if you don't have anything else to add, is you mentioned earlier that your primary demographic was middle class, not high end, not luxury. So in economic downturns, which we've seen a little bit recently, and I'd say back in 2008, you've been going since 2016, so you haven't experienced that. What we see at Wingnut is our high end, luxury interior designers, they just keep on plugging because high-end clients, they don't care. They really don't care. But when you're going for middle class or people that don't have as much expendable income, that can sometimes take a hit in there. Have you seen anything with the economy affecting that?
I haven't.
I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I
Okay.
haven't. I haven't had any part of the economy affect me that I know of. I mean, I'm consistent. I mean, I'm consistently booked, and I'm
Okay.
usually booked about 2 to 3 months out, and so that hasn't slowed. It usually will drop a little bit in January, like after the holidays. January, February might
Sure.
be like right now. I think I'm booked out about 6 weeks instead of longer.
Oh,
Um,
you poor thing.
so the economy like downturns, I haven't experienced them. Not to say that people who would want to hire me haven't been able to. I mean, I'm sure that that's happening. I
Mhm.
just don't know about it.
Yeah, because you're so booked up. I love it. You're in demand. You have a terrific business model. I can tell you're happy and stress-free for the most part, right? It's something when I was doing interior design, like I said, that I definitely kicked around. I was like, God, do I really want this headaches? But of course, I had like these big pictures of scaling and everything, like I usually do. And sometimes at Wingnut, I'm like, man, should I just have one person? And
Yeah, yeah.
scaling can be such a headache with employees and
Hmm.
everything. And I kid, guys, if you're listening. But, I love what I have and I love my team and I love the direction we're going. But sometimes there's some sleepless nights. So I applaud. I
Hmm.
applaud this business model. Is there anything about this topic that I've forgotten to ask you that you want to add before we get into the fire round?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, over the course of the last 9 years, I have been asked a lot about my business model. and even local designers here, like, why are you so busy and yada, yada. And just this past fall, I decided to, in my way, I mean, this isn't really scaling, but it's, changing the business model a little bit, as I created a digital course to teach other designers how to be successful in this business model, because there's the people that hire a designer for advice only are very different from the people that are going to hire full service. And the mindset of a full service designer and the way they approach projects is very different than one that would approach a consult-driven business. So I decided, after a lot of feedback, that I would create this digital course, and I did, and it kind of went live in November, and I've had terrific feedback about it. So it's really exciting, and I just hope that the people that have enrolled in it, that they're going to be just as successful. And so far, everybody's plugging away and loving it. So it's exciting.
Where can we go to find out more information about your course and get rid of our headaches?
thedesignersblueprint.com.
Oh, that was terrific. What a terrific website.
Thank you.
Did you buy that did you have to buy that one, or was it available?
It was available.
All right, Melanie Zaelich, now I have to ask you, are you ready for the What Up Wingnut round?
I am.
What would the hashtag on your tombstone be?
Thankful. And not thankful that I'm dead, but thankful that everything that I have either had or have had in my life, and thankful for life. not for death,
I like that. You're well, thankful it's finally over.
Well, perhaps. I mean, if I am like 102, that will be exactly. I'll be thankful regardless.
In 90 years. You're stuck on a deserted island, but you can have your one favorite food. What is it?
Ice cream.
What kind? I love ice cream.
Any flavor.
Really?
But if I got to choose the flavor, it'd be mint chocolate chip.
That's a really good one. I chocolate chip, I think, is my favorite. Mint chocolate chip's pretty good. Yeah. But if you were stuck with rum raisin, you wouldn't kill yourself?
No, I don't think so.
Really? All right. Well, okay. Well, let's hope you get mint chocolate chip on this island. Last but not least, please recommend a book that's impacted you on a personal or professional level.
Yes, that is this book called Essentialism. And I read this several years ago. I think it's by Greg McKeown, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less. I mean, I just love even the cover design. I mean, look at that, like chaos to simplicity. I think that's great. But it really helped me in a business sense, being able to make those decisions, like to cull it down, focus on what I really, really want. And then it's also really good for your personal life. I mean, it's written for businesses, but everybody's just so busy with activities and things and stuff. And it really can help reshape your mind to think about, what do you really want to focus on and what's really important to you? So it's one of those that I read, once a year, every other year, just to kind of like recenter and refocus. It's been great.
I love it. Thank you for that recommendation. Melanie Zaelich, please tell the audience again where they can go to find out more about Happy Place Interiors and your course, and we will call it a day.
Awesome. The designersblueprint.com is where the course is, and my website is happyplaceinteriors.com, and there's actually a link to the business course on that website as well. And I'm on Instagram.
Yeah, is that happy.place.interiors?
Yes.
I'm looking at it.
I put the dots in there.
The dots. You got to connect the dots. Melanie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, guys, if you want to see how crazy my hair is, head on over to our YouTube channel designed by Wingnut Social and join our over 1,200 subscribers in that amazing visual presentation of all that we do. We need a picture of Susan McNuggets. Nicole, can we get a picture of Susan McNuggets? We need to work on that. Stay tuned for a complete interview with Susan McNuggets. Well, that would be great, wouldn't it? All right, guys. So what did you think of this episode? I think it's brilliant, right? So Melanie's in her happy place. She's boots on the ground. She's doing what she loves. She's giving her clients the solutions within that time window for X amount of money. And then she's going home to her 11-year-old daughter, who may or may not be her first priority, and living the life Yeah, man, there's a lot to be said for this. And of course, we had in the conversation, what does scaling look like for you? What does selling the business down the line look like for you? So you have to do some introspection and see what it is that's important to you as an interior designer, what you want your business to look like. Do you want to take it through to completion and do the photography and have it be in, Elle magazine or whatever that looks like for you? Or does something like this, more achievable, that work-life balance, something that you can make more people happy, live a better, more functional interior design lifestyle in X amount of time, and then go live your life. There's a lot to be said for this. There is a lot to be said for this. I think if you're an interior designer that's leaning this way, maybe you just start dabbling in the consultation only thing if you're not doing it already, and see what that could look like, right? And then when you're done, you're done. You're not chasing those blues. You're not solving the crime so much. You're not putting them in jail, I should say. You're solving the crime, but you're not getting the perpetrator. You're not arresting them. You're not putting them in jail. You're just, there it is. Here's your report. Now I'm going to go to the bar and play some trivia and have a whiskey and not be on call at 3 a.m. All right, guys. I really hope you like this episode. You can check out more episodes like this on Designed by Wingnut Social, or listen to it on anything that provides you a podcast. Remember, until next time, to get out there, get uncomfortable, and what the hell? Be great. See you next time. Hey kids, and welcome to Your Mic is Too Far from Your Face. This is a new concept for a show. Your mic is too far from your face, so this is a concept I'm working on.